Look, I don't care what anyone says. I think it is perfectly believable that you could drag a massive safe through the streets of Rio de Janeiro and not kill any innocent bystanders whatsoever. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Even if Too Fast, Too Furious and Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift weren't your cup of tea when they first came out, how could you deny the idea of taking characters from those films as well as other previous Fast and Furious films and saying, let's put them all together Ocean's 11 style? You have to admit, this was a brilliant idea on the part of the filmmakers because this would prove to be a major turning point for the Fast and Furious franchise moving forward, as we've gone on to have 4 other films as well as 1 spin-off, and they just seem to keep maintaining the level of commercial success to this day. Let's bring in side characters from the previous Fast and Furious films, let's bring them all together and see what happens. And the result was just chef's kiss perfect. You've got Brian leaving the world of law enforcement behind and joining Dom and Mia to become this new family where they're just straight up outlaws in South America. And things are definitely starting to heat up for these characters. They run afoul of the biggest crime boss in Rio de Janeiro. And on top of that, you have Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson entering the franchise as the relentless law enforcement officer Lucas Hobbs. And this was just a masterstroke of genius as far as casting is concerned, especially when you consider that they originally wanted to get Tommy Lee Jones for this role. Now obviously it would have been a nice nod to The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals to have Tommy Lee Jones playing this character, but watching The Rock as Hobbs, you can't imagine anyone else in that role because he is just bringing his A game from start to finish. Obviously, this is a big presence to have in a film that already has Vin Diesel, who is very alpha presenting in basically any role that he plays, especially in a franchise that he is a producer in. So you kind of feel all of this tension just by the nature of their characters in the film, but you get the sense that egos of the actual actors could definitely be adding to that tension. And of course, as we look at future films in the franchise, that may actually have been a thing all along. Now, The Rock is obviously coming from the world of WWE. He's in peak physical condition, he's been building up his acting cred, but at the same time, this is definitely the point where this man went from being big to absolutely massive to just straight up ginormous. Like with Fast 5, you will believe that a man can tear Under Armour fabric with his biceps. Bottom line, this is how you raise the stakes for a franchise, especially a franchise that makes it to its 5th installment, especially when earlier in the franchise people thought this might be the time to quit it after Vin Diesel opted out of appearing in the 2nd film. And it's an acknowledgement of what worked about those previous Fast and Furious sequels, even when people thought the whole films in general may not have worked. It's great to watch characters like Tej and Roman interact with each other, crack jokes, and kind of develop this whole new relationship that we didn't get to see in Too Fast, Too Furious, especially when you factor in that now we've made Tej some sort of tech genius. But then on the other side of things, we've also got Gal Gadot as Giselle, who, mind you, they do not refer to her by name in this or the previous film. Then we also have her with Han, and they're getting together, they're reading each other like the Sunday paper, figuring out things about each other's pasts, and building a little bit of a rapport that ultimately turns into a romance. You've even got Tego Calderon and Don Omar in the film, and they're doing their own little Abbott and Costello bit that's bringing some much-needed comedy to this franchise, because that's something that the Fast and Furious films didn't always do to a considerable degree as far as comedy is concerned. Like, a lot of this was played straight, even in its goofier moments up until this point, but now we have that with these characters, and it's just kind of fun to see how everyone kind of interacts with each other, and we get to this whole idea with Vin and Dom as a character where he's all about his family, and that does not mean just family by blood, it's family through connections, through experiences, and it's something that I think definitely works well when you examine his relationship with Brian in this film, because they have this great moment in Fast Five where Dom is talking about his father, growing up with his father, whereas Brian never knew his. So with the whole subplot of Mia actually being pregnant, it's really important for Dom to kind of impart this idea on Brian that he's not going to be the type of father that his was to him. And you have this great kind of emotional moment between these two men that we don't really talk enough about, as far as just having these guys sort of share their emotions. And you can think that I'm being silly right now, but it's right there on the screen, and it's beautiful, and it's progressive, and it's something you want to see more action films do, right? We even get Matt Schultz back as Vince for the first time in the franchise since the first film, and it's great to see how Fast Five handles this character, because make no mistake, there is still that tension between him, Brian, and Dom, but at the same time, there are things about him that have changed. He's grown, he's evolved, he wants to be more supportive of everyone involved, but it's just crazy to see what directions the film goes in with him, and it was such a gratifying thing to watch because he was definitely one of my favorite parts of this film. Is the villain in Fast Five all that memorable, Reyes? Not really. He's not on the level of Owen Shaw or Cypher or even Braga from Fast and Furious. Like, this is a character that is just there to be your typical evil villain with not a lot of nuance to him, and it's just an excuse to have all of these other characters, these fan favorite characters, come into the film because they're all getting together to steal $100 million from him, and that's the only purpose he serves. Even when it comes to racing in Fast Five, they kind of make a joke out of it because they realize that they need to boost some cars as part of their heist, and they figure, all right, let's go to a race. They go to the race, and they cut even before the race starts, and the next scene is them coming back to their secret hideout with the cars that they've won, because we're 5 films in at this point. We don't have to have this tense race. We know that Brian and Dom are already positioned to be the best street racers anywhere in any type of context. There's no one that can beat them, so we're not even going to show that part. We do have a race scene between Brian, Dom, Han, and Roman with some cop cars at a certain point in the film, and that's pretty much all we get. Not to say that there isn't a lot of action in this film, because, whoo boy, Justin Lin really went all out to do everything as practically as they could, right down to that opening train heist at the beginning, and having this nice little nod to Triple X where Brian and Dom have to leap off of the back of a sports car as it's driving off of a cliff into a ravine. So you get that in there. You also have this foot chase through some favelas in Rio de Janeiro between Hobbs, Brian, Dom, and Mia, and you just kind of think to yourself, wait a minute, you've got Brian and Mia jumping through these tin roofs, and this woman is supposed to be pregnant. Can someone please think of her child? Because obviously the filmmakers weren't thinking about that as far as it related to the story. We also get a great fist fight between Hobbs and Dom, and to paraphrase Big E from The New Day, this was just big meaty men slapping meat. And of course, this all culminates in this amazing set piece where Brian and Dom are dragging Reyes' safe out of the police department in Rio, and you want to think to yourself, come on, that can't be practical. And of course, there's a lot that they have to employ to make it safe for extras and whatnot, but damn it if it isn't fun to just see them driving through the city as they're driving the safe behind them, creating a lot of property damage. And yes, there are a fair amount of cops that definitely got killed when Dom was using the safe as a wrecking ball on a bridge against them. But you think about it from the standpoint of all the cops are in Reyes's pocket anyway, and even if they weren't, they're still cops. Even after Hobbs and Dom find a common enemy in Reyes, Hobbs is still committed to his job, at least to the point of saying that he won't take Dom in, but he'll give him 24 hours as long as he leaves the safe behind. And that's where Fast 5 shows its hand with the brilliant reveal of the fact that they actually manage to switch safes in the middle of the chase. And at that point, even Hobbs had to smile and show some respect to Dom and his team for having gotten one over on him. And again, much like Fast and Furious, the way this film ends, you would think that this would be it. This would be the perfect time to swan song out into the sunset for the Fast and Furious and just leave it at that. But no, we then get that after credit scene as Hobbs is back in his office going over his files, and we get the reintroduction of Eva Mendes' character from Too Fast and Too Furious to let him in on a lead of some car-themed heists that are happening in Europe. And at which point, Eva Mendes asks him, "Do you believe in ghosts?" Hey guys, thanks for watching. As always, if you've got your own thoughts or opinions on this video that you would like to share, go ahead and leave a comment in the section below. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the notification bell, share this video with your friends and family, and if you'd like to keep up to date on more At Random videos, you can click the subscribe button right over here.